All right, Shalom. You reached the He Pray channel. My name is Ozzy Mawath. But first and foremost, I want to say call Halayim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, 7:13:19, where I learned this truth from and who rule well. Salutations to the Bakiyar, the elect, the 144,000. That's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel consist of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. The 144,000 being the governing body within the one-third. The rest of the one-third comprises of men, women, and children. Shalom to those Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people will come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So it's not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that died in its truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our King, King Mashah, who is King David. As always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai for permitting me to do such. Baba Kashah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai allowed us to be an edifying lesson to at least one member of the elect. So I'm pretty sure by now, you probably getting off of work, or you might have heard it during your lunch break. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you
It's a sad day in America.
are familiar with this individual on the show, especially if you keeping up with the political climate, and he was one of the most staunch Trump supporters, and pretty much his whole ideology, to me, was parallel to, that so-called white supremacy rhetoric and denouncing the the policies Slovakia, of the Democratic Party. And he was one of they say, the reasons why Trump was elected. So yeah, he's all over my feed. Which me personally, I watched a little bit of his interviews, and it's the same as all the others concerning you Israelites and the world in which you find yourselves in by exceeding the deeds of the wicked. Now I know that Amalek is behind it all through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, through the spiritual demon Satan on the left-hand side, right? To demonize our people and, to initiate a great slaughter, right? But this is from Drudge Report. I'm just going to read the headlines. It says, Kirk shot dead in Utah. Turning Point, USA. Warning graphic, shock video, FBI botches investigation. Because according to biblical prophecy, there's going to be a civil war in America simultaneously when there's a World War III. And this is all part of prophecy and signs of the Messiah's return. Everything that's happening in the world is all prophecy, man. Prophecy is speaking. So let's see what AI got to say, because I like to use AI a lot lately. Which we'll just read this. 2, it says foundation, precept upon precept. And this quotes Isaiah chapter 28, verses 9 through 10. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk, which the milk represents the foundational scriptures, and drawn from the breast. And you could think that, the breast of a woman, wisdom has a feminine spirit. And in the Greek, it's Sophia, right? Now, this is how you actually read the Holy Bible, right? It says, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, right? And this is AI's take. It says, this method isn't just poetic, it's surgical. We're not here to reenact emotionally, or Slacky, we're not here to react emotionally. We're here to decode spiritually. So we don't got a dog in this fight. You know, um, so depending on who the shooter was, which from Myron Gaines, which that's not really his real name. He's really an Ishmaelite from Sudan, northern Sudan, and he reminds me of I believe the Egyptian that was mocking Moses. Let me see. Let me see. The Egyptian kid. That ain't it. Just bear with me. The spirit allows me to find it, and I'll find it. But if not, I'll just move on. Bear with me. I'm trying to think. Not what I wanted. Let me see. Maybe if I could Use AI. Just bear with me. Was it Marion? The boy that spoke against marriage is Marion, who was Moses' sister. Look, that's not it. Uh, is it Korah? Moses wasn't a child, but a man named Korah, and he didn't come alone. The boy who figured his third throat. Because Moses wasn't a child, Korah, a Levite, led a revolt. He was joined by the not there. I don't think that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is it. Let's go to it. Leviticus, the water y'all Bashim y'all shot. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 24, verse 10. It says, "And the son of an Israelitish woman," so his mother was an Israelite, whose father was a Egyptian, right? He was a Hamite, went out among the children of Israel, and this son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp, meaning they were fighting. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of Yahweh and cursed, and they brought him unto Moses. And his mother's name was Shalomith, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan. And they put him inward that the mind of Yahweh might be showed them. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Bring forth him that have cursed without the camp. And this reminds me of Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit. He reminds me of this Egyptian kid, man. It says, and let all that heard him, Slucky, and let all that heard him lay their hands, because he be talking shit, lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, Whosoever curseth his power shall bear his sin. And he that blasphemeth the name of Yahweh, he shall surely be put to death. And all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger, as he that is born in the land, when he blasphemeth the name of Yahweh, shall be put to death. And that stranger is talking about Israelites living in adjacent lands, right? Let's click the NLT. And the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is on me to bring it out. Example of just punishment. This is the NLT, same chapter, same verses, starting at verse 10. It says, one day a man who had an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father came out of his tent and got into a fight with one of the Israelite men. During the fight, this son of an Israelite woman blasphemed the name of Yahweh with a curse. So the man was brought to Moses for judgment. His mother was Shelomith, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan. They kept the man in custody until Yahweh's will in the matter should become clear to them. Then Yahweh said to Moses, take the blasphemer outside the camp and tell all those who heard the curse to lay their hands on his head. Then let the entire community stone him to death. Say to the people of Israel, those who curse their power will be punished for their sin. Anyone who blasphemes the name of Yahweh must be stoned to death by the whole community of Israel. Any native-born Israelite or foreigner, and that's what it's supposed to be, among you, who blasphemes the name of Yahweh must be put to death. You know, this is this guy, Byron Gaines, from Fresh and Fit, which his real name is Amru Foodie, known professionally as Myron Gaines or Fit. You know, let me see. And this is this dude right here. You know, he's really a Hamite. You know, but he thinks he's he describes himself as being African American because he's from Sudan, which Sudan was conquered, and it recently split north and south. The southern Sudanese are the uh, ancient Egyptians, because they're known for the ancient Egyptians were known for their height and their complexion, right? So what does it say? It says the son of the Egyptian, the boy in question was born to an Israelite mother, Shelomith, daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan, and an Egyptian father. He got into a fight in the camp and blasphemed the name of Yahweh, a serious offense. The people brought him to Moses, and he was put in custody until the Most High gave instruction. The verdict, he was to be stoned to death by the congregation. Symbolic breakdown. This boy represents a fractured identity caught between covenant and culture. His Egyptian lineage may symbolize forward influence, while his Israelite heritage ties him to divine law. His outburst wasn't just emotional, it was a spiritual rupture. And why is that? Because it goes by your father, man. Your father determines your bloodline, not your mother. So he was a heathen. That's why it was oil mixing with water. It says you could, what does it say? You could build a layered lesson here. Conflict in the camp, unresolved identity, blasphemy, rejection of divine order, judgment, the cost of spiritual rebellion, you know? So that guy, Amur, whatever the fuck his name is, him and this guy, Charlie Kirk, and others like him, they pretty much got the same viewpoints, right? But going back to co-pilot, the event political assassination as prophetic sign. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was fatally shot while speaking at Utah Valley University on September 10th, 2025, and it's September 11th, tomorrow. Not only is it September 11th, but you would think out of all places, why Utah? You know, you would think it's just, which I just recently found out there was YNs out there in Utah. I thought it was just more exclusively Edomite state, but filled with Mormons and Quakers. But I stood corrected at that moment. There was some YNs. But continuing, it says he was known for his unapologetic conservative stance, his Christian declarations, and his alignment with President Trump. The shooter fired from 200 yards away while Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings. This wasn't random, it was symbolic warfare. Yeah, because, they're trying to uh, bring about chaos, which Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing chaos. Why? Because according to prophecy, there's going to be a civil war. Simultaneously, there's World War III. So these are, those beginning stages. So it says, precept 1, the spirit of Cain, 1 John chapter 3, verse 12. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. Which right now, the elect represent Abel, and Cain represents, the opposition. Political violence is often framed as ideological, but spiritually it's Cain versus Abel. Kirk stood for a Judeo-Christian worldview, which we know if you watch my videos, all these religions are pretty much man-made. They're not inspired by the Heavenly Father, you know. So if they're man-made, they're sensual, they're carnal, they're satanic, they're against the will of the Heavenly Father. It says whether you agreed with his politics or not. So you could replace this with this truth that we're in, because they're going to try to come after the elect. It says whether you agree with his politics or not, his public declarations of Christ as King and his defense of biblical values made him a spiritual lightning rod, which I don't got no riff with that. Anytime you pushing righteousness, which these niggas need to get put to death, man. You know, uh, oh yeah, that's so point 66667. This is the ratio in which you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous are gonna die here in America, man. 2/3 of you, man. You know. So 2/3 of you are gonna die here in America through the sword, man, because of your wickedness. Precept 2, the war of words. The war of words. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. Death and fire are in the power of the tongue. It's like it. And they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Psalms 31 and 18. Let the lying lips be put to silence, which speak grievous things proudly and contemptuously against the righteous, right? And the righteous are you Israelites, of the elect. It's MSNBC analyst Matthew Dole controversially claimed Kirk's hateful words contributed to his assassination. And when you saw this Edomite chick being interviewed, she was thrilled. She was happy. She described the event with a smile on her face, man. It says that's not just political commentary, it's spiritual inversion. The righteous are being labeled as the aggressors, while the spirit antichrist gains sympathy. All right. Precept 3, the rise of political beast system, which is dealing with Esau's New World Order. Revelation 13, 1 through 7, just paraphrasing. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, which the sea represents people. And that beast is talking about NATO and the EU. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, also the Roman system. And the saints is dealing with you Israelites, and to overcome them. So it's basically Esau's power structure going to war against you Jakes. Uh, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20, it says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness to light, or darkness for light, and light for darkness, right? And that's how this society is right now, man. People put evil, they think what's evil is actually good. It's a good thing. When you start to see that shift, growing up, everybody wanted to be a cool guy that's always breaking the law. They push that spirit on people, man. You get the leather jacket, you got the the blue jeans, right? You put on the Terminator shades, the Lokes, and you're a bad guy. You're an outlaw. You break the law. They made that image an acceptable image. One that uh, people now desire to mimic. You know, it says this assassination joins a pattern. Trump's attempted assassinations, attacks on pro-life centers, and arson against conservative institutions. These aren't isolated. They're coordinated spiritual warfare. The beast system is emboldened, and the saints are being targeted, which, you know, this is AI. So, uh, from a true spiritual perspective, these are just birth pains, man. The Most High is allowing Esau to have his, final hoorah, you know, and to establish the glory for his son, Yahweh Shai, by Yahweh Shai taking down Esau. Precept 4, The role of the watchman. Ezekiel 3, verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman, right? And the only way you could be a watchman is if you have the truth, right? And that truth is the doctrine that was given to Great Millstone, or as I say, 7:13:19, right? It says, unto the house of Israel, therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. So we're to give them warning, man. We're trying to tell our people that the devil is going to come down onto you having great wrath. We're telling our people that the floods are coming. Those floods represents the armies. And they're going to be destroying. They're going to be like madmen, sparing none. Isaiah chapter, see, they're setting the ground, they're setting the framework to try to exterminate you Israelites because they want their birthright back, man. And Yahweh's going to allow it. He's going to allow 2/3 of you to get wiped away. This is Isaiah chapter 58, verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression. So we're to show our people their transgression, man. And we do, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and all the men with the same doctrine. It says Kirk's death is a trumpet blast. Whether you agree with his politics or not, his assassination is a warning to the church, and it's a warning to the true church, right? Of Yahweh while Yahweh shine. Most High, he don't care about these heathen nations. And they think they have a part in it, and they don't. It says silence is complicity. The watchmen must rise. The prophets must speak. The saints must armor up. So we got to armor up, man, with this word. Apocryphal lair. The righteous are not forgotten. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. Then shall a righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him. And that's what we're doing, man. It will be unheard of for any of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous standing and speaking against your oppressor, man. You know, but now the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has made it so, you know, through the certain transitions in society, you know, and what's acceptable and what's not. It says it made no account of his labors. Yeah, despite us being our ancestors, right? Because the Bible speaks about regeneration. We are never going to get the compensation uh, for the work that we did in slavery, man. And we were the slaves, right? So they made no account of our labors. You're never going to see no reparations. And you shouldn't want the reparations anyway, man. You should want the reparations of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, which that's you being given the heathen for inheritance, their lands, and them. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 4. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. Yeah, and that's dealing with the elect. Some are going to be put in these concentration camps. Some of their heads, their necks are going to be put in these guillotines. And they're going to have to transition, you know, gloriously to their extraterrestrial bodies because their spirit is going to leave their bodies. They're going to go to the fourth dimension, the spiritual world, and they're going to be in their new bodies in the new covenant. And they're going to be waiting with Yahweh Shai to be given the orders by Yahweh to return to earth to get those that remain. Right? It says Kirk's earthly death doesn't erase his spiritual impact, which his spiritual impact was on the left-hand side. If he stood for truth, he will stand again. The righteous are not forgotten. Their blood speaks. It says, final layer, what now? This isn't just about Charlie Kirk, it's about the spiritual climate. The saints must speak truth boldly, even when unpopular. We got to be in defense of the gospel, man, no matter what. Armor up spiritually, mentally, and physically. And, the Spirit has been on the apostles for men to get in shape, which, that Spirit's been around for a long time. You got to get in shape spiritually, mentally, and physically. Return to the word as the final authority. Pray for discernment and protection. We're not in a time of building communities, right? So, yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Just a brief one about this whole Charlie Kirk situation. Um, Final scripture. This is Job chapter 4, verse 7. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished, being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? So with that, I'm going to say I hope at least one brother was edified, and I'm going to say shalom.